My dear respected brothers and sisters, before we commence our program, I'd like to call on our dear brother Idris to give us a small speech on the Quran.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سبح اسم ربك الأعلى الذي خلق فسوى والذي قدر فهدى والذي أخرج المرعى فجعله غثاء أحوى سنقرئك فلا تنسى إلا ما شاء الله إنه يعلم الجهر وما يخفى ونيسرك لليسرى فذكر إن نفعت الذكرى سيذكر من يخشى ويتجنبها الأشقى الذي يصلى النار الكبرى ثم لا يموت فيها ولا يحيا قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا والآخرة خير وأبقى إن هذا لفي الصحف الأولى صحف إبراهيم وموسى صدق الله العظيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Jazakallahu khair. My dear respected brothers and sisters, indeed, it was the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the management of BDF, alhamdulillah, we decided that we have already started our classes, and one of the programs we didn't start was our monthly lectures. Alhamdulillah, we have taken the opportunity and decided that we will resume our monthly lectures since we have been given the privilege to utilize at least 50% capacity of our space for such lectures and nasihat and advice on our deen. And for all our brothers and sisters who are viewing us on Zoom and our other platforms, I say welcome as well, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. Indeed, this evening we are very privileged, blessed to have with us our dear Mufti Shaheed, who is no stranger to this community, born and bred in our community here, a very ardent and very hard-working individual and scholar in our community and our country at large and in the Caribbean, and well known in Haiti for the effort we have made. So I'd like to call Mufti Shaheed, and tonight, inshallah, he's going to deliver to us a very important lecture on our Ramadan series. For this month of Ramadan, we start off with how does hunger recharge our Iman? And that is something we need to recognize that in the month of Ramadan, we fast. So let's join in, inshallah, with the Shaheed, inshallah.
الحمد لله الذي كفى الذي أرسل رسوله المصطفى بدين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره الكافرون ولكره المشركون. فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في كتابه المبين بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم: يا أيها الرسل كلوا من الطيبات واعملوا صالحا. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: لو أن لابن آدم واديا من ذهب أحب أن يكون له واديا ولم يعفاه إلا التراب، أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. We praise Allah, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His many favors. One such favor is the favor of food. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the entire creation, and all of them He sustains. In one ayat of Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, وَمَا مِن دَابَةٍ إِلَّا عَلَى اللَّهِ رِزْقُهَا. There isn't a single dabba, animal, creation of Allah, accepting that its sustenance is upon Allah. In Ruh al-Ma'ani, one particular tafsir, the explanation is given whilst commentating on this ayah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He sustains all things, all animals, all plants, all animate and inanimate things. Allah is the one who sustains. In this tafsir, mention is made that once, to illustrate this point, Musa alayhi salatu wasalam was told to crack a rock. But when he cracked that rock, inside of that rock, he saw another rock. It was like a shell on the outside, so he saw another rock. And then he cracked that one, like another shell. There was a rock inside of that one, layer upon layer. And he cracked that other one, and there was another rock inside of it. And then he cracked that one, and there was a little worm. Small little worm. Inside that rock, that was inside the rock, that was inside the rock, there was this little worm. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was sustaining. Its food was reaching it, and it was being sustained. Sustenance, food, drink, air and oxygen, that which sustains our life, that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put the substance, the nutrients for the existence and for our bodies to function. This is a big ni'mat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The scholars were asked about, is there any ayat in Quran that summarizes it all and puts everything in perspective in relation to food? And they said yes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in Quran, Kulu washrabu wa la tusrifu innahu la yuhibbul musrifin. Allah says, to sum it up all, for us to get a good understanding of the matter, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Kulu, eat. Yes, eat. Washrabu, and drink. What not to do? Wala tusrifu. Do not waste. Do not go overboard. Don't eat less so that you are malnourished and you cannot fulfill your duties and responsibilities. Don't eat more so that you are lazy and that you are just carrying around waste. Wala tusrifu. Do not waste, Allah says. All the nice things Allah has provided for us, eat of it. And of course, we understand in this discussion, we are only talking about halal. We're not venturing into haram. That is a non-subject. We're just talking about the halal that Allah has provided. What is the summary of it all? Kulu washrabu. Eat and drink. Wala tusrifu. And do not waste. Why? Innahu la yuhibbul musrifin. Allah does not love those who waste. Our topic today is, how does hunger build our iman? If the topic was how does hunger, but then we'll have to call it something else. How does hunger build our physical body, our health? That's an easy topic. Because all of us will have some intention of some type of dieting for some reason or the other. Whether it is All of us will have the intention, we need to go on a diet. We need to eat less. We need to cut down on certain things, whether it's for losing weight, or whether it is to control our diabetes or our high blood pressure. It's not always about weight. Sometimes it's a health issue. If the topic was about health, then all of us here have that intention. We know we need to cut back in certain areas. We know we need to eat certain things that we don't like to eat and so on. So if that was the topic, I could have sit here and say, wa akhiru da'wana, and alhamdulillah, topic is finished, because we have that awareness. We know how the things that we eat affect us. The very things that we eat turn around and becomes the things that kill us. The things that we eat becomes the things that gives us the heart attack, build up of cholesterol, causes our diabetes, causes our high blood pressure, and most of the health issues will come from and will be based on what we eat. We understand how the food that we eat, how much we eat, when we eat, what causes us to get heartburn, what causes us to get gastro. We understand all of this because it is in eating that we are taking the foreign substance, foreign meaning external substance, and putting in our bodies. When we look at something, nothing is going inside, nothing physical. It's only through eating. Oxygen when we take in, even if there are some particles, that is taken care of. It is food. Food that really ventures and goes inside of the body. This is why the stomach and the belly is known as the place, the focal point where diseases are caused. However, this is what we want to try and understand today. We want to try and understand how does hunger, and we'll define what hunger means when we say hunger in a while. But we want to understand how does hunger affect us spiritually? How does it affect our iman, our heart, our soul? This is what we are trying to understand today. First off, we want to define what we mean by hunger. In the books of Islam, in Ihya Ulumuddin, it is said that a person is hungry when all that he desires is just rice or roti or a piece of bread. He's in such a state where this is all he wants. He doesn't want some butter on it. He doesn't want a piece of cheese with it. He doesn't want rice with some dal or some meat. He just wants to have some rice. Or he just wants to have a piece of bread. The state that he's in, this is all that he's wanting and all that he's requiring. And when he's finished with that, he licks and cleans the plate. Such a person, that person we will say, is a hungry person. But we want to differentiate a hungry person from a starving person. A starving person is that person who is not well, he's not being nourished. He cannot stand up straight. He cannot perform the normal duties that he will normally perform. He is starving. He's emaciated. He's melting down. And we're not talking about that condition. We are talking about hunger. Hunger means the container is not full. And we still feel a little inclination. I can eat some more. When you reach that stage and you stop, you are still hungry. There is enough in the stomach. The dietitians and those people in nutrition and so on, they will tell you that the amount that is required for an average individual is about 2,000 calories a day. Calories is just like how they measure the energy in the food and so on. So they'll say you need about 2,000 calories per day. An average doubles will have about 300 calories. A soft drink, 150, 200 and so on. For an average person, we're not talking from an Islamic perspective. Islamic perspective, but we'll adopt what they are saying. We'll buy into it. About 2,000 calories a day. How you acquire that, how much you eat. When we talk about hunger in this lecture, in this discourse, what we mean is that you do not fill the vessel to its full capacity. And as Muslims, we have always been told, and we would have learned, that we fill 1/3 with solid, 1/3 with liquid, 1/3 with air. That state, where you just full 1/3 and there is some empty space, that is what we are calling hunger for this discussion. So when I am talking about hunger, I'm talking about hunger, that is the state that we are talking about. When soon we shall be quoting some hadith that tells us about the virtue of being hungry. I don't want you to go and picture in your mind, this person, he's weak, and he can't stand up, and he's emaciated, and you're seeing all his bones, and his eyes are sunken, and he can't even stand up for salat. We're not talking about that. When we are talking about hunger in this lecture, we are talking about not filling the vessel right now. Second thing I would like to mention is that as we are talking about hunger, and we are talking about curbing our appetite and suppressing our desires, the human being, our mind works in a particular way. Then we start to think about, oh, so Mufti is mentioning about the virtues of hunger and what hunger does and the need for hunger. And then we start to think about the big scholars. You know the big scholars. I'm not talking about the big scholar that is a big, I'm talking about the big scholar. And we start to think about, so if Islam and fasting and all of this is about, and we use, that comes in the play now. That comes like a whole, and the entire essence of the message will be lost. When we start to think, so okay, what about this one, and what about that one, and so on. Third, that ties into the second point, is that when we are talking about hunger, and we're talking about diet, and so on, and we are saying certain things, I don't want us to start to look down or to consider people who are fluffy. We're not calling them fluffy. We say they are a little fluffy. We don't want to start looking down on them or thinking that there's something wrong with them and that they can't control themselves. Everybody is different. Everybody's metabolism is different. Everybody burns what they eat and utilize what they eat. This is a type of lecture that focuses directly to each individual and is not spread out beyond that. Therefore, take what is of benefit to you and leave everybody to row their canoe. Let everybody row their canoe. All of us are traveling on this ocean, and all of us need to row our canoe. You see somebody in difficulty, we can help, we help. But we do not need to throw a stone and sink anybody's canoe. Therefore, when we'll be speaking about the issue, I don't want us ostracizing, belittling, or thinking any negative way of anybody else. Are these points clear? I want you to mention these points before we begin. It's always important to plug the holes before. Because when you start to throw and you start to fool and you watch, nothing in it, why? It's coming out through the holes. I wanted to mention these points. First is I wanted to define what I mean when I am talking about hunger. Next is to ensure that we do not cast aspirations or have any belittling thought about those whom we look up to and those who we expect to get the message from. And we say, no, well, look at them, look how fat he is, look how big he is. Because when we carry our car by the mechanic, we don't look at his 120i or his old broken down car and say, well, look at the kind of car here. I'm not going to carry my car by him. We don't look at that. We look at the job the man does. What kind of car he has, how he's keeping his car, that's his business. The construction worker, the carpenter, the type of house that he has, that's his business. But that man can build a good house. When you put on our faith, when he does this for you, he can do his job. Whether the dentist has rotten teeth or he has decay and cavity, that is his business. But the man is a good dentist, you take dentistry from him, you fix your car by him, and you employ that person to see about your house. And third, we do not want to ostracize or belittle or think any less of anybody. Everybody has their own challenges. Everybody has their own battles to fight. My battle may not be your battle. My fight is not your fight. My challenge is not your challenge. But all of us have one common enemy who are attacking us in different ways and our nerves interacting and different products are coming about. We need to support one another, not cut down and belittle one another. Any questions on those points before I really get into the substance and the matter of it? The greatest calamity that has befallen mankind. We we're not talking about the obvious one for us as Muslims. The obvious calamity, greatest calamity that has struck as far as we are concerned is the death of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is the greatest calamity that the modern world has faced. That with his demise and with his departure, Nabuwwat came to an end. Angel Jibreel alayhi salam is not going to come with any more revelations, and there are no more prophets to come. As far as modern day history is concerned, that is the greatest calamity. However, before that, from the inception of mankind, the greatest calamity to strike us was the befalling of Adam alayhi salatu wasalam. And what was that? Allah said, وَلَا تَقْرَبَا هَذِهِ الشَّجَرَةَ فَتَكُونَ مِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ. Do not come close to this tree, for if you do, you'll become wrongdoers and transgressors. And what happened? Shaitan came, he tricked them, he fooled them. فَأَزَّلَّهُمَ الشَّيْطَانِ. Shaitan pushed them and caused them to slip. In relation to what? What was the issue? Food. Something to eat. See where it's at? This food thing, this eating thing. That the Shaitan can only tempt you with a weakness or an inclination that you have. If I want to sell you something, I can only sell you something that you have some interest in. I can't come and sell you something that you have no interest, no inclination to. I have no string to pull, you see. So Shaitan can only tempt us with something of matter and substance. So Allah says, do not come close to this tree, whatever the tree is. Everybody have different opinions. Apple, grapes, hinto, wheat, whatever. Some say it's not even a tree, it's a concept, it's an ark, it's man, woman, whatever, it does not matter. The thing is that we were told not to do something. Adam alayhi salatu wasalam was told not to do something. And if you follow and look at what is literally mentioned in Quran, in Surah Baqarah, this is the first incident. First incident that Allah finds it appropriate to put forward to us is that incident where this whole journey of us started. Where we were sent down from the paradise, from our home, sent here in order to try and get back there. It all started with something to eat, with food. So in Surah Baqarah, Allah mentions one ayat about it. In Surah A'raf, 7th Surah of Quran. 7th Surah of Quran, Surah A'raf, verse 19 and 20 mentions it, and 22 mentions it twice. 4 places in Surah A'raf. Which Surah? A'raf, what number? 7th Surah of Quran. Surah Baqarah mentions it once about the tree. Allah said, don't come to the tree. They went close to it and they ate. Then this happened. Then the rest is history. Surah A'raf mentions it 4 times. Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told them, don't go close to the tree. And then when Shaitan came and told them, if you all eat from this tree, you're going to become angels. You're going to live forever. And you will inherit such a kingdom that will never decay, never go away. What is he doing? He's appealing to their desire for what? For something nice. He's appealing to their desire for long life and eternity. So, this is how he will come to us. With things that we have an appeal for, that we have a desire for, and he's going to come to us in times of weakness. What are the times of weakness? When you're happy. That's a time of weakness. When you're so happy, you'll do something wrong. You're so sad that you will do something wrong. You are depressed, you are worried, when life and health and wealth and these things are in danger, watch out. Who's going to come? Now is the opportunity. This is when he's going to come. So therefore, this is where it all happened. This is what started it all. When man fell prey to the shahwat. Shahwat is his desires. He fell prey to it. And of course we know that the rest is history. This is where the problem all started. And we know what is the belly of man. Our sisters know. They know very well that the way to a man's heart is his belly. The way to a man's heart is his belly. But they get 1 point there, we get a minus. Because we don't know the opposite of it. What is the way to a woman's heart? So, we lost some points there, isn't it? You know what you have to do? You have to remind it. She just said, she said, if you only so, then I will give you anything you want. I'll do anything you say. She just said, but he doesn't listen, you see. They tell us what they want and the way to their heart and so on, but they know. Right? So they have an advantage of us as well. That's why they can control us. Why? Because they know the buttons to push. Or we don't listen when they're telling us what buttons we need to push to control them. So, our loss. So Shaitan knows how to get the demand. How to get the demand? Food. But these desires that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has equipped us with, who put these desires in us? Allah. Who put the taste in the food? Allah. Who gave the tongue the ability to taste? The tongue is a piece of flesh. The eye is a piece of flesh. Who gives it that ability to taste? And the nose, another piece of flesh. Who gives it that ability to smell? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah has placed desires in us. But they have been placed there for a reason. Because if they are not placed there, we will not have inclination. We will not go towards food. Allah wants us to eat. If you don't eat, what will happen? What? The car can't run without gas. The car needs gas. The body needs, Allah has put the energy in the food. Allah has put it there. So it has to go from there to here. It has to get inside of you. And Allah has put things to encourage you towards it, to call you towards it. He has put things in it. He has put taste. He has put color. He has put scent. All of these things Allah has put in it. Because if Allah does not put that in it, then what will happen? You will shut down. You are not going to eat because you are not encouraged to eat. So Allah has put taste. Allah has put color. But Allah has put that for a reason. For you to get the strength inside of you. Or we stop right there, we put a full stop. Okay, that's it, that's the end. We just need today, when we are thinking about food, okay, I need to cook tomorrow. Immediately we start thinking taste. We start thinking how to put it together, what we want with the rice and what type of meat and how we want it. We are all about taste. We will not be thinking, okay, tomorrow, I have an exam, so I need something that will nourish my brains, I need to eat things with protein. We don't think like that. Everything in relation to food is about fulfillment of desire, not about fulfillment of objective and purpose. So food has lost its objective. And the thing that has been put in it, in order to encourage us to do it, that has taken the forefront. So all we are doing is just what? Living to eat and eating to live. That's like a person, he put a car on the road, taxi, he's working at a taxi. So whole day he's running up and up, Barco to Princeton, Barco to Princeton, Princeton to Barco, and he's working the car. And at the end of the day, the car brings in $500. So in the evening, he pulls up at the gas station, and the person pulls it down, and he asks the person how much, he puts in $500. He going out tomorrow again? If he's just working to put gas, and he's putting the gas to work, does that make sense? You're not getting anything else from it. The objective of putting the gas in the car is not for you to work to put back gas in the car again. The objective is to get some extra funds from it, to send the children to school, to patch a hole in the roof, to buy some medicine for your mother. It is to do these things you want the extra funds for. But today, our life and the life of the entire mankind is just surrounded about they're working to eat and eating to work, and it's just right there. The entire objective has been lost. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in Quran, in Surah Araf again, Kulu washrabu. Kulu washrabu. Eat and drink. That is what Allah made it for. That is what He made it for. Wala tusrifu wa don't waste. Do not waste. Waste the whole objective of the creation of the food, of the strength in the food. Utilize it for a purpose. Why? Innahu la yuhibbul musrifin. Allah does not like those who are wasting. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has also said, La tumayyitul qulub. Do not kill the hearts. Do not kill the hearts. Bikathratit ta'am, with too much food. Washarab, and with too much drink. فَإِنَّ الْقَلْبَ, for verily the qalb, كَالزَّرْعِ, is just like crops. Tomatoes, pepper, just like your vegetation, the trees and things that the gardener plants. It's just like that. يَمُوتُ إِذَا كَثُرَ عَلَيْهِ الْمَاءِ. It will die when you put too much water on it. Water will cause the plant to grow. Water is necessary for the plant to grow. But you put too much water and waterlog it now, what will happen? The thing that is necessary for its existence will kill it now. Why? Too much. Food, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is telling us the same thing. La yumayyitul qulub. Do not kill your hearts. The heart, the soul, the thing that is the container of Iman. So if the container of Iman is destroyed, where is the Iman going to reside? Where is the faith, the recognition of Allah, the concern for Akhirat? If you destroy that, with what? By eating too much, by drinking too much, you destroy the heart. The heart and the soul in Islamic terminology is considered the same. When you are discussing the inside, the nafs, the ruh, and the qalb are considered as one. They are interchangeable. So when we talk about the death of the heart, we are talking about the death of the soul. And if that dies, if the place where the Iman resides, if the place where the Iman is embedded in, if that dies, what will happen to the Iman? So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, do not kill the heart. Kill it with what? Too much food and too much drink. Why? Because verily the heart is like cultivation. When you put too much water in it, it will die. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has also said, Ma mala'a ibnu Adama wi'a'an, that the son of Adam does not fill a vessel worse than the heart, min batnihi. And then the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, it is sufficient for a man that he eats a few morsels. The size of the heart, according to some, is the size of your fist. Not your heart, sorry, your stomach. The size of your stomach is the heart of your fist. Some say. Some say it's about 12 inches long and about 6 inches at its widest part. When we say, boy, your belly full, this is not your belly, okay? Your stomach, this is not your stomach. This is your small intestine here. Your stomach is only left under the lower quadrant, left quadrant here. Right under the rib here. It's okay. So when you want to say full your belly, you want to say, full my belly. Hold this side. Don't say full my belly. This is your intestine. That small intestine, 27 feet long. This inside here, you stretch it out 27 feet long. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said the worst container that you can fill is the belly. He didn't say don't put anything in it, you know. What are we talking about? Filling it, don't fill it. It was not meant to be. How are you going to mix that water? How are you going to mix up that? How is that going to turn? Same basic thing we have learned. 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. The worst thing that you can fill is what? The stomach. Sufficient, said the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is a few morsels that will enable you to stand up straight. And how to do that? 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. So far, I've just mentioned a few points. So I want to attempt to mention something a little technical. If we understand it, alhamdulillah, if not, what we have. We have talked about hunger and some of the problems associated with it. That it was one of the initial problems, the great calamity that caused us to be where we are. But how does it all work? We understand a bit of how the body works. But then there is a relationship between the soul and the body. In that, when the body started to be created in the womb of the mother, 4 months after its development, the angel brought the soul. And then the soul was placed into that fetus. And both of them started a development together. Now, when the soul came, it was complete to an extent. But then when it is placed in the body, being put in the body puts certain limitations on the soul. For example, if I take a cup, and the cup is round, and I throw water into it, whatever shape the water had before, when it goes into the cup, it takes the shape of the cup. Like that. If the cup is square, it becomes square. And the water is limited by the vessel that it is in. For example, you know mittens that you hold the pot with? They have the thumb and have they don't have fingers like a glove, isn't it? There are 4. Okay? So if I put my hand inside of it, even though the hand has 1 thumb and 4 fingers here, because of the shape of the mitten, right? It's called mitten. Because of the shape, there's some restriction. It causes some restriction with my hand. But still, my hands have individual fingers. But because that mitten just has one big piece here that fits the 4 fingers, it's restricted in a kind of way. Everyone understand that point? Now, when the soul is placed inside of the body, because it is inside there, it is restricted and it has to depend on the faculties of the body. The soul has an eye of its own. The soul has an ears of its own. It has a perception of its own. But when it's placed inside of the body, it's like a disconnect the faculties of the soul. And it's now plugged into the faculties of the body. So it is dependent on the information that is coming from the eyes for it to see. For the soul to see, the soul has an independent medium of sight. But when it's put into the body, it's now limited. It can't move the way. It still has its potential, but because it is in the body has a type of relationship with it. And they both develop a type of relationship where the body is alive because of the soul. What will happen if you take out the soul from the body? You die. So the body has a relationship with the soul and depends on the soul for certain things. And the soul also depends on the body for certain things. Everybody following me so far? We're going to good? We're going okay? Despite the fact that the body and the soul have come together as one, they are really 2 separate things. You see that when the person dies, the body is separate and the soul separate. So they are 2 separate things, but they are working together now. The man on the horse and 2 of them riding, and they're going. It's one movement, one movement. Just like I and my clothes are one at this point in time. I have on my clothes, but I am inside of my clothes. But anywhere I go, my clothes is going to. And when I move, I raise my hand. The clothes has no life of its own. But it's raising when I'm raising my hand, because it has become like part of me. So the soul and the body shares that kind of relationship, where one depends on the other, and what is done to one influences the other. Can we appreciate that point? That if somebody comes and they roll my clothes and they pull it, will my hand move? You hold here and they pull it. Will just this alone move, or will my whole arm move together with it? So when one thing is done to one, it affects the other. The state of one affects the other. There's a relationship between the body and the soul. And the desires that we have, when we entertain and fulfill the desires that Allah has placed in us, above and beyond the way that it should be, it causes an influence. It affects the soul in such a way. Now, when the desire for food is fulfilled, the soul has another aspect of it called the nafs. The nafs is a wanting thing, like a sponge, always wanting and trying to absorb. It doesn't matter. You throw milk on the ground and you pass the sponge will absorb it. The sponge wants it, wants it. You put alcohol, you put blood, whatever is there, it wants it, it just wants, as the nature of the sponge, to absorb. Whatever it is, the sponge is not biased. The sponge is not going to say, this is water, I will absorb you. And if it passes over some blood now, it will not say, no, 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 this is blood. I'm not going to absorb you. What is the nature of the sponge? To absorb. Anything it passes over, it will absorb it. The nature of the nafs is the same thing. So we have spoken about the body, we have spoken about the soul. Another part and element of the soul is the nafs. That one thing, Allah has put that inside of us as a driving force. For us to continue and carry on and carry on. The nafs is always one thing, and it has a list. A long list. I want this, and I want this, as a little child. The job of the nafs is to want. The job of the body is different, the job of the soul is different. When the body wants, it wants first, it wants food. That is the primary thing that it wants. It wants food. When this is fulfilled, when you eat to satisfaction, and that the nafs feels, yes, I get what I want, it doesn't stop there. It wants something else. Usually, the nafs goes through, after food, it wants intimacy. It wants husband and wife relationship. Now, after the soul, after the individual, after the nafs gets that intimacy, then the nafs wants, creates within itself the love for fame and name. I have nice food. People like to show their wives, show off their wives. They like to put their wives out there so that other people will look at them and say, boy, I'm going to have a real nice wife, you know. Why? Because after enjoying, after having what you have, you want other people to know what you have. Then the love for what is called jar. Not jar like jar as a pariah. Love for jar. Jar is what? Love for fame, and the love for name. It's not enough for the man to just have something. He wants other people to know he has it too. I own my will, you know. And see how big and nice it is? Man, I feed that thing ghee and I bathe it. You having it is not enough. You want everybody to know that that is yours. That comes next. This is how the nafs is working. I'm trying to illustrate the trend of how it goes from wanting food, nice, I get my food. What I want next? Relationship. What I want next? People must know. And why people knowing now? And people say, wow, oh, mashallah, very good. Boy, how you do this, how you do that, how you grow that tomatoes, how you get everything so big. Huh? They start to praise you now. And you start to see praise coming with these things. When I do this, when I have this, when I get that, I start to get praise. So what do you want? More praise. But how to get more praise? Get more. Allah. Get more now. So there's the desire to get more. We don't stop, you see. The nafs does not stop. It keeps going, but I want us to remember what started it. You know, like the dominoes, when they line up the dominoes, and this one hit that one, and that one hit that one, and that one falls on this, and that breaks, so, and that goes so, and that. Like that, one thing goes to the next, and hit the next, and hit the next, and continues, and does something quite down there. But it started here, with that one domino. That one fulfillment of your desire to eat more, not to stop, eat more. When that is fulfilled, the nafs says, I want the next kind of fulfillment now, intimacy. Then I want love and I want name, I want to be honored, I want to be respected. You must respect me, you must honor me. You see what I have? And then I want more respect, so I need to get more. And the next step is at-takasul. I want attention, I must get more. After that, after wanting more now, what is the next thing that's going to happen? You look at the other person, he getting more too. And where he getting it from? He taking some of mine, you know. You start looking at the competition. You start creating enmity with other people who vie for the same thing. If you are trying to get something, and somebody else trying to get something, will love develop between both of you? Usually no. That's your competition. So now you start to look at other people who vying for what? Trying to amass what? Wealth and land and this, and and they become competition. Jealousy starts to step in. But look how hard I'm working, and he's doing nothing. Because his father was wealthy, he got up from his father. So what? Jealousy starts to come in the heart now. And with the jealousy, hatred starts to develop. Why he must have that? He shouldn't have that. I deserve that. I worked so hard. I used to do this and I studied. His father used to drop him in the car, but I used to walk in the rain, and I should have get that position. I deserve it more. In class, I used to beat him. He used to come out like that. Then hatred starts to develop. And after hatred is enmity. And after enmity, I hate that person. I don't like him. I am jealous of him. He should not have that. You want to do something to even the game now. You want to do something that gives you the edge. So what you do? A little bribe. You start to bribe now. You want to do something that is out of the usual. You want to start to break the laws now. Unlike this, you are going down the slippery slope of desires. Where did it start? Fulfilling the desire to eat more. Fulfilling the desire to eat more. All because we ate to satisfaction. We ate to satisfaction. In the Musnad of Ibn Hanbal, rahmatullah alayhi, narrated by Dahak ibn Sufyan, he said the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Ya Dahak, ma ta'amu? O Dahak, what do you eat? What is your food? Qala ya Rasulallah, al-lahmu wal-laman. He said, the Messenger of Allah, I am eating meat and I'm having some milk. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Thumma yusiru ila mada? O Dahak, you are eating meat and you are drinking, you are having milk with it. What is that going to come out like? Send it down. Send down the milk, send down the meat. What is it going to come out as? Dahak said, Ila ma qad alimta ya Rasul. Oh, you know, Messenger of Allah. And you know too. Everybody know? What is it going to come out like? So he said, you know, Messenger of Allah, what is going to come out like? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Inna Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala daraba ma yakhruju min Adama mathalan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He uses that from what it was and what it becomes to make you understand, to provide you with a daily example of this dunya. What this dunya is. What it seems to be, what it appears to be, and what it is in reality. Daily, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told Duha that this example Allah provides this example. What are we confused about? What are we confused about? Are we confused? Is it not clear that we're going to die? Is it not clear that this life is temporary? Is it not clear that this deen is the correct deen? So what are we confused about? All the examples are there in front of us. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has explained it in detail. In this example, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam highlighted the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides an example. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has also said, Jahidu anfusakum bil-ju'i wal-'atash. Make the jihad. Make a jihad with yourself. Fight the jihad within yourself with hunger and with thirst. فَإِنَّ الْأَجْرَ فِي ذَلِكَ. For verily the reward for that jihad, that fight and that struggle is كَأَجْرِ الْمُجَاهِدِ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. It's like the reward of a mujahid. It was the fighting in the path of Allah. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has also said, Hassan radiallahu ta'ala has narrated, the Prophet has said, Al-Fikru, to contemplate, to think and to ponder, to meditate. It is nisful ibadah. It is half of it. وَقِلَّةِ الطَّعَامِ هِيَ ibadah. And to eat less, that is true ibadah. In the terminologies of the Sufis and in the terminologies of the masters of the heart, those people who understand the inner workings of the individual, They have 4 golden rules. It's no big theory and theology, and 4 golden rules for advancement in the pathway to recognize Allah and to get close to Allah. 4 golden rules. Anybody observe these golden rules, they will come close to Allah, they will have full recognition of Allah. One is, qillat al-ta'am, eat less. Eat less means same 1/3. 1/3 of the stomach. Drink less, that which is sufficient. Speak less and associate less with people. These are the physical things that are necessary in order to isolate the body and to give the ruh and to give the soul breathing space in order for it to develop its faculties. If the desires of the body and your hunger and your thirst, you give into it. All you are doing is feeding the body. You're feeding the body. You're feeding the body. What is the soul getting? What is the soul getting? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has created different things from different things. He has created the jinns from fire. He created the angels from nur, and He created us from clay. We didn't ask about these things. Allah told us about these things. The thing we asked about in Quran is وَيَسَلُونَكَ عَنِ الرُّوحِ. We asked about the ruh. Allah didn't tell us what the ruh is made out of. He said, قُلْ يَا مِنْ أَمْرِ اللَّهِ. Tell them it is from the command of Allah. But the basic principle is that you sustain a thing from the thing that it is created. Whatever the thing was created from, that is where its sustenance comes from. Where does our sustenance for this body comes from? The plants that we eat, the animals that we eat, the vegetation, everything. All of it is from the earth. Because the body is from the earth. So that which nourishes it are things from the earth. Where does the ruh come from? What is it made of? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not tell us. All He said is, قُلْ هِيَ مِنْ أَمْرِ اللَّهِ. It is from the command of Allah. Therefore, it is from the word, the command of Allah. Therefore, what will sustain the soul? That which made it. Where it came from? What it came from? Allah. Anything from Allah is the food for the soul. What came from Allah? Quran. That is food for the soul. Ilm and nur and dhikr and salat, ibadah. These are light things, things of light. These are things of Allah, from Allah. These are the things that will sustain the soul. But when the body is only being fed, imagine what the condition of a soul will be that has not been fed for 40 years. 50 years, the soul is inside the body and it never get a morsel of its food to eat. Never get a sip of its type of water. It has never opened its eyes. If you have a body like that was just born into this world, and for 10 days, 15 days, 1 month, did not get food, how will that body be? It has never opened its eyes. Its ears has never heard anything. This is the nature of the kuffar. This is the nature of the kuffar. Their souls have never been fed. Their eyes have never been opened. Who has food? All these hungry people, all these starving, they are starving. They are there. What we have? Food for them. We can give them sight and vision. Through Allah, of course. Allah can use us to give them sight and vision. What would you do to give somebody who has been blind for their whole life sight? Is that not a noble task? But the problem with us in Muslim community is we only building warehouses. Everything we're doing is only for the Muslim community. It's a warehouse. You could have a business with no retail. You only have a factory. You're producing things and storing it in your warehouse. You're producing and making, storing it in your warehouse. No retail. That business will try. That's the condition of the people. That's our condition. Everything is just for we. We're not reaching out. Alhamdulillah, you are making effort. Well, I'm making effort. And needs to increase. And need to be focused. The light is the focus. The deen is the focus. لِإِعْلَاءِ كَلِمَةِ اللَّهِ. That is the purpose of the deen. the upliftment of the word of Allah is body. In order for the soul to rise, the body has to let go. The body keeps down the soul. And the objective of the fast is to become like those who don't eat and drink, that is the angels. The angels don't eat and drink, and they have qualities. Now, if I want those qualities, I have to do what they do. The body houses the soul, but it also weighs it down. It limits the soul. I'll give you an example. A bigger picture, a more adventurous journey. You undergo and you see, not when you're awake, but when you are asleep. When you shut down this body, that's when you have an amazing journey, isn't it? Which journey is more amazing? The one when you're waking or the one when you're sleeping? You all dream, right? The dreams are more adventurous, isn't it? So when these eyes close and the inner eyes start to open, then you see the wondrous things. When the body shuts up, to revitalize the soul, the body has to be weakened. When the body is too strong, it overpowers the yearning of the soul. The body has the yearning, the soul has the yearning. The body is yearning for what? Give me food, give me intimacy, I want nice thing, I want this. The body has those inclinations to keep it functioning. This is the vehicle of the soul. If the vehicle of the soul shut down, the soul shut down. The mission of the soul cannot be accomplished if the vehicle is shut down. So the body has been, things have been put in the body for it to maintain itself and keep itself running. But the person inside of this body is you. And when the body gives itself too much attention, it shuts off. And it doesn't take on the calling of the soul. When the body is weak, when the body is in that state of hunger, it knows it needs something, it wants, and only in that wanting state can the soul find a little opening so that it can reach through that weakness of the body. It can reach through the opening that the body is now providing to reach out for something greater than what the body is calling for. You follow that point? If you do not give the soul that opportunity, it will never thrive. It will never thrive. Just like for a seed to grow, it has to be put into the ground. It has to be, it grows and it will sprout a shoot when put in a certain environment and a certain temperature and a certain moisture that will inhibit the shoot to crack the seed and to come out and to grow. It needs that. The soul needs the body to be pliable, to be able to see through that darkness of the desires and the wantings of the body, to be able to reach out to Allah. Because we have it within us. Everybody who is striving, they're living their life, there's something inside driving them. They feel it's for food. They feel it's for these little things, this little enjoyment. It's not that. It is the soul crying out from inside, I want my Allah. I want my Allah. I need to be connected to Allah. I am the slave of Allah. Well, I need to serve my Allah. Because the body is only serving itself. So, but the inside needs that freedom. What brings about that freedom? Hunger. Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu ta'ala, he says, Tajashsha'a rajulun inda Nabiya sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. A man once belched. He belched in the presence of the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Faqala, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Kuffa anna. Come on, this is wrong. Don't do that. Kuffa anna. This is from that. Don't belch like that. Not that the belching is a bad thing, but what causes the belching is overeating. You stuck up all this in the food and there was air in between. It didn't like that. فَإِنَّ أَكْثَرَهُمْ شِبَعًا. For verily, the majority of you who are satiated and satisfied and fulfill their desires in this world, will be the majority of those who will be hungry on the day of Qiyamah. If you are satiated here and you are fulfilled here, then you will not be fulfilled there. If you are hungry here, you will be fed there. But if you are fully fed here, you're going to be hungry there. Can't have it both ways. We can't have a Jannat here and a Jannat there. And Allah is not going to give us a Jahannam here and a Jahannam there. If we get to Jahannam here, if we get our pain, our trials, our tribulations here, inshallah, we will not have to have it in the hereafter. We are talking about satiating, curbing our desires. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala said, and I will end with this. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala said that the first bid'ah, you know what is bid'ah, right? First newly invented thing that came about ba'da qabdi nabiha sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, after the death of her Nabi, after the death of Rasulullah alayhi wa sallam, was ash-shiba, eating to satisfaction. We're not talking eating haram, you know. Eating to one's satisfaction was the first innovative thing that came about after the death of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we know where it has reached us here today. People, one is eating to satisfaction. That's not belly full. And we have some misconceptions that we have grown up with. Feed the children, man. Give them more. Make sure they're belly full. No. You're spoiling the children. You're building, you're creating the monster, you're feeding the monster. Once you feed the monster and the monster gets big, what's going to happen? You can't control it after. But we like to feed the children. I'm not saying starve your children again. We're not saying starve them. Or we have this misconception that I must give my child everything I didn't have. They must get it. All this, and they didn't have this. The things you didn't have is what make you the good man you are today. That is why you're strong today. That is why you're innovative today. That's why you can solve the problems that you are able to solve today, because you didn't have. And you have to make do, you have to figure it out. You're depriving your child of that tarbiyat and that training and that development. Our children, they don't know a day of hunger, and we feel that's a good thing. That's not a good thing. You have to plan hunger for them. Run out of gas one day. Run out of food intentionally. It's hard. Alhamdulillah, Allah has blessed us. We always have. We'll always have. Allah knows we are weak. He doesn't put us through some of the things that previous nations were put through, that the Ummah had to go through. But that don't mean that we have to deprive and spoil our children. That we have to have the concept that I'll give them everything, and the things that we've given them, the things that we're providing for them, is not being what? Acknowledged. There's no gratitude. It's not coming across the way that we want it to. Allah does us this for a whole month in Ramadan. A whole month. What is He trying to starve us? What is Allah trying to do? It's training. We need that training. If it was not for Ramadan, there would be people, even us, who would not know what hunger feels like if it wasn't for Ramadan. But we need to know that. We need to know these lessons. If we don't know these things, how will we be able to apply ourselves? How will we be able to understand the world and how it operates? And how will we be able, Allah puts us in the shoes of others, makes us feel it. We have to train our children. Love is a strange thing, you know. Love is a strange thing. Love does not mean to give them everything. Sometimes love means not to give them everything. Sometimes that's what it means, in order to train them. So Aisha radiallahu ta'ala said the first bid'ah, as the Prophet ﷺ died, the first mistake that we started to make, because now Muslims are conquering, Wealth is coming in. And she said the first bid'ah, the first deviation that started to take place is that of what? Eating to one's satisfaction. Because what was the practice of the Sahabas and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam prior to that? The practice of Sahabas and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam prior to that was to remain hungry, not because they didn't have. The hadith mentions that Sahabas and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they used to remain hungry not because of depravity and poverty. It's not that they didn't have, so they stayed hungry. Oh, I had nothing to eat now, so I'll stay hungry. No. Wealth used to pass through their hands. They had. But for the body to be light, and for there to be gratitude and thankfulness, and for the mind not to be deviated, for the mind not to stray, because the human body is built in such a way, it always want. And once you satiate the body, it relaxes now. It's like Macawell, they say when you're belly full now. You relax now. We don't want to relax in this world. We want to keep on the go. We want to be on our feet. A hungry belly causes us to be like that. We want to be on the mission. We can't relax. We have to keep going. We have to keep doing. Therefore, a fire must always be burning within us. One thing. All right, I have enough fuel now. I can work. I can move. But if you're out the fire by satiating it fully with a full belly, then the zeal and enthusiasm you need to strive for Allah and Deen is going to be out as well. Everyone understand? A little fire needs to be remaining lit. A fire of yearning and desire that drives us to continue wanting Allah, wanting Allah, wanting Allah. That has to remain. As soon as you're fully belly, fire gone. You see to do anyway, no need? Huh? You don't need. A fully belly, not just the stomach, not the top of the stomach. We pull it straight up to the throat up here. Pull it straight up here. Pull up the throat, esophagus, everything, pull it right up here. What do you want to do now? Rub your back there, make some space, put a little more, and then you. It's not a good habit to keep filling people's plate. It's not good for them, it's not good for you. Eat, brother. Feel comfortable. Would you like to have some more? Don't force them. Don't force somebody. Offer it, and they take, alhamdulillah. This is from the sunnah of all Anbiya alayhi salatu wasalam. Hunger. To remain hungry. When you remain hungry, you remain alert. The fire of yearning keeps burning. And then the body gets a little bit of what it wants, so you will stay quiet. And the soul will reach out now. Reach out for who? For what? For the ma'rifat of Allah. To understand Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I hope I didn't confuse you all more. And we get a little understanding that we don't just need to diet. No? We need to help. It just does not help the physical body. It helps the spiritual as well. Because we can see that very clearly, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it for one whole month. Out of the 12 months, one whole month Allah said, do this. Do it. Why? Starve yourself a little bit. Stay away from the food. لَعَلَّهُ تَتَّقُونَ. So that you may gain taqwa. Where is the taqwa? In the heart. Physically abstaining and staying away from food affects our iman, will affect our heart. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us in this month of Sha'ban, and that He takes us to the month of Ramadan, and that the month of Ramadan brings us closer and closer to Him. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillah. Questions? Anybody?
Alhamdulillah ta'ala, all the praise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Indeed, it was very privileged this evening. We should talk about hunger, but BDF also prepares dinner for everyone, so just eat with the proper message that we have got, inshallah. Now we didn't keep the amount of food, But alhamdulillah, what was mentioned in the subhanAllah, it draws our attention and it's done a very wonderful job in telling us about food and not necessarily food, but how we should really eat. And when Ramadan comes, we have that spirituality, how we draw that spirituality, that is the reality of it today. How the reality comes to us because we attach ourselves to the Quran and we stay away from it. But I don't know, then it's our times that the first story was subhanAllah. My dear brothers and sisters, we are very privileged in our foundation with so many activities that we are doing in the past. And today, starting out yesterday, I feel so happy and so, I say Allah subhanahu bless all of us that we are actually can start up something again in the community, especially with our connection. We're very privileged to have Mufti to come and do that. This first lecture for us. May Allah subhanahu bless him and reward him and his family, inshallah, and increase him in barakah and wisdom, sustenance and his life, inshallah, the hereafter, inshallah. And when he finished speaking, I reflect in the past many years, we have been in this community, and I always remember, subhanAllah, we could sit down here from our scholars like this after so many years, subhanAllah. If you tell yourself what Barakah and the people of Barakah is producing, not only for here, but how far and wide the message of the deen is coming from. So alhamdulillah, we are doing, by the help of Allah, a lot of khair and khidmat to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by all of us in this community. May Allah reward everyone to be time to be here as well. So a couple of announcements. As you know, we will take on Friday, once a month to be dua for ill brothers and sisters, and everyone who requests dua from us. We normally will go there, but due to the restrictions that we have before us, we cannot go to the hospital, but we have also maintained a relationship and maintain a complete khatam of Quran every month by the sisters and my brothers who come together and read the entire Quran. We will also make dua again for those of circumstances. This Friday, inshallah, we're making such a dua again, inshallah. Those who will join us and those who are connected to the group, we will actually have the dua, inshallah. That's what it is done. And Allah make it easy for us to join that dua as well, inshallah. We also reminding our brothers and sisters who are on Zoom and those who are here, you can encourage the registration of yourself and your children and your family members to come and join the programs that the BDF have for the benefit and the upliftment of the community. Among the things that we are looking at having reintroduced, because we have completed alhamdulillah one of the AC courses, hopefully certification will be done so shortly, inshallah. Alhamdulillah, that's actually been done. And we'll be having registration on April. All the registration is going to this class to start in April, inshallah. Also, electrical level 1 class will be also starting in May, or plumbing class in May. And these classes and other classes will be run concurrently at the same time here. And during the week, we also have weekly class with Tikayam, myself on a Thursday, Maulana Rahim on a Wednesday. And these classes about the Quran, Tafsir, Arabic language, Hadith, so many things have been taught by the brothers for the upliftment of the community. We put aside everything just to build and improve the life of all of us. We need to remain in the environment of learning. We have more and so many other people who are all the islands, we have brought up in our community trying to get involved in learning and teaching the community. We just have to bring everybody together and take the opportunity to learn. This is for all benefits. This is for all benefits to make a difference. And if we do it now, the future generations will see the light of what we have before us for our children. Because we need that level of competence when that time will reach. So we can only deliver to the best of our ability. And we can only implore and beg, please, my dear brothers, my dear sisters, come forward, bring your families out, and learn the deen. This is something that we need to benefit our souls and benefit our life to the hereafter, inshallah. We will also be having our hamper drive, meaning that we normally give out to those who are in need, and we'll be having that, inshallah, just on the 3rd of April, and anyone who wants to contribute to this hamper is going to cost us $200. Anybody willing to donate a hamper for us that supporting the community can stop by and give it to one of the brothers or sisters who are in charge of the various program, the HAMA program, and inshallah, we will do the necessary of having it prepared and distribute it to the communities as we will normally in the past. Inshallah, we are also looking at assisting and also trying to do some area of providing a meal for those who will be in need in the month of Ramadan, especially what we are going to in our communities, and anyone who wants to contribute towards those type of things, BDF will be preparing and dropping off to the homes of those people. So anyone who can contribute a meal for those people who might have that need, we are looking out for those people, inshallah. We will provide those who are fasting that may not be able to afford. We will help them out as best as possible. And be able to do that in the month of Ramadan, inshallah. We also have the food again. One of the important fundraisers for the BDF to do most of this program is our general big fundraiser to our Chinese queue, which will be on the 29th of May. Inshallah, I think it is $40, and we will everyone support us and as much as possible help us to get these tickets out there. We are trying to sell at least 2,000 tickets. 2,000 boxes will push out, inshallah. Not much, just only 2,000. We are fighting here 2,000. That's not much. You think how much we probably eat for the year? This is small, right? So let's be careful, inshallah, and bring this forward to the betterment of the foundation and the runnings of the foundation. We also will ask brothers and sisters, those who are willing to sponsor students, who are taking people from our communities around and trying to train our young men and women to some career, apart from that, they have uplift their deen. This is costing us, and we are also going to share that opportunity with everyone to spend the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We donate to us, inshallah, towards a student sponsor child, subsidize the cost, at least at $50. The month you give out $50 or $100 towards that cost, you're going to definitely get yourself up to Jamia life of the year after. The reward for it, and also you'll get the life of the year. So spending on it, you will be rewarded. My dear brothers and my dear sisters, I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all the strength and we will benefit from this lecture here this evening. Indeed, it is what is needed for us at all times to sit in an environment and reflect on ourselves and our focus and our objective. And we have indeed achieved that tonight. I would say alhamdulillah, but the implementation of it is now on our hands. So the task at hand is to implement this. So as we will leave from here, take what was necessary for us to put into our lives. And whenever we open our mouth to eat, this should not be able to take it, inshallah. Allah guide me and Allah reward you for the end we will succeed, inshallah. A few minutes to wudu, and inshallah, in that this afternoon, we shall pray and then we'll do that, and we'll do it everyone, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.